So the first piece of advice you'll probably hear from a producer, one who's probably never released an EP in their life, when you first get into music production will probably be something along the lines of this. So when you get into music production, you'll need a desktop computer. You know, the one you've got probably won't do. You need one with at least 16 gig of RAM, 32, if not 64. You'll need the top processor. It'll have to have heaps of hard drive space for all of your samples. And on that computer, you'll need the best software, the top tier software. The other ones are just crap. You know, you're not going to make any good music with them ever. But also, the stock stuff that comes with the DAW you choose is crap. You need all these plugins. You need the software to make good music, and you need to get all these analog modeled plugins that sound really good. And that's just the software. You also need to get studio monitors so you can actually hear your mixes really well. And you need an audio interface with high quality inputs and outputs so that you can hear the music at the best quality and so you can record stuff. Oh, and you need to treat your room acoustically because, you know, all the sound in your room is going to build up and reflect everywhere. So you definitely need to treat it acoustically. You'll probably also need a microphone to record your vocals or record sounds in your room or whatever, because that's always going to come in handy. Or if you need to record vocals, that'll always have that option there. And you'll also be needing headphones. You'll need not just the consumer grade ones, you'll need the top tier ones that actually sound good and you can, you know, got that flat response. They have studio grade quality. And you'll also need a preamp to use with those headphones. Otherwise, you're not going to get the best quality sound possible out of them, and you can't make anything good unless you have the top tier quality sound. And they go on, and you need a MIDI keyboard, and they go on, and you need all this hardware synths to make the most authentic music. The problem is in some small way, they're not exactly wrong. Well, at least not entirely. But for the most part of what they say here, they miss the point. These things are extras. They aren't necessities. This is the mindset switch that most producers need to make. Because most people who make or give this bad advice, they don't think back to when they actually started producing music. They're thinking in the mindset of now. They've never actually made good music and they only have all the gear but no skills. Regardless, it doesn't matter what these people had or what they have. No one's going to tell you that they got into music production and the moment they sat down, they immediately knew how to use Massive and they immediately knew how to play their MIDI keyboard and knew all the functions on it. And that they knew Ableton or FL Studio inside out. As I've grown as a producer over the years, I've actually gotten rid of all this gear and software that I've had because I was one of those people who thought you needed all these things to make good music. I use it as an excuse to not make good music. I was never learning new skills and actually gaining skills as a producer. I was always focused on the gear. I'm only now starting to catch back up because I have new needs for them. But as a new producer, as someone who's just starting out, you don't need these things. In fact, there's only three tools that you need to have as a producer in order to make music. Now, a lot of you will think these things are pretty basic when I get into them, and a lot of you actually have them already. But here they are. Let's get into it. The first one, a computer. Obviously, that sounds essential. Obviously, you need a computer, but it's what kind of computer? And the answer is the computer you've probably already got. You know, 90% of you are probably watching this YouTube video on a computer. The point here is that the computer you use doesn't have to be amazing. It can be the most basic computer. I started producing on my family computer when I first started in music production. It doesn't matter Mac or PC, it doesn't matter how much RAM it has, it doesn't matter what CPU. As long as it's meeting the basic system requirements, which most computers are, let's be honest, of your system, then you'll be able to make music. And you know, yes, the amount of RAM or the CPU you might have doesn't allow you to work as efficiently as you might think, but you actually need to use those limitations as creative workarounds. You know, if you have to balance things more to audio because you can't render everything in real time, then do that. You might get creative ideas you could have never have thought of working that way. Or, you know, if you can't have as many tracks in a song, that's fine. Use the tracks that you can have before your CPU starts freaking out. Or if you can't use third-party plugins, all the better. Try and just make amazing music with the stock plugins that you've got. You know, if you're one of the people who doesn't have the basic system requirements, see what happens. Try the software. Maybe you might have to use a different software until you can get a new computer. Use your limitations as a creative inspiration, and you'll be very surprised what you can actually achieve. It actually can inspire you to be able to work more so that when you get a computer, you'll be able to use that new computer to the best of its ability rather than taking it for granted, which is a very, very useful mindset to have as a producer. But that's just the computer. Let's get to the second tool you need to make music, and that is headphones. You could argue here that it's either headphones or speakers, but I say headphones for a variety of reasons. And the first reason I say headphones over speakers is because you've probably already got some. I mean, at least basic ones. I produce music on these Apple EarPods all the time. And I love it because it allows me to actually focus on the creative side of things. And most people have that or a similar pair of earphones or headphones. And the second reason I say is portability. You can make music anywhere, especially if you've got a laptop rather than a desktop. But I mean, it makes it all the better. If you've got headphones, it's just an extra level of portability. And lastly, they are a lot cheaper to get than speakers, usually speaking. And that gets into my other argument, which is that they don't have to be pro-grade headphones. They can literally be cheap ones. I know a lot of producers who produce on Audio-Technica ATH M50Xs, and they're like a good pair of headphones, but they're like not the best in terms of quality. I actually had a friend who bought a pair of Audi's headphones, and they're like a really high-end quality headphone. I think producers like Noisier and stuff like that swear by them, and they're really good. He said they're amazing quality, but he just didn't enjoy producing with them because they didn't suit his exact workflow. He said they were good, but just for him. So he actually used the ATH M50Xs because even though they're like 1/5 of the price, he was used to them and he really liked them. So factors like how it suits your workflow is much more important. But the reason producers like them is because they're portable, they sound good, they got good bass, but more so that, they fit flat on your ears. They have a nice case. The cable's really nice and it doesn't cause mess, and they're cheap and they're accessible for a lot of people because not everyone's going to be able to spend thousands of dollars on headphones, especially when they're starting out. By the way, if you want them, I'm going to chuck a link to buy them in the description. They're good headphones. But the thing is, factors like portability and usability are much more important than quality, because usability and that kind of thing is what's actually going to allow you to make music. You might be able to make quality if you have the top headphones, but if they don't suit your, way of working on your workflow, then you're not going to be able to output any music. You're just going to be stuck with an expensive pair of headphones and not writing anything. You might be asking, well, how am I even meant to get good quality mixes if I'm using subpar headphones? Like, how am I meant to know what am I listening to? What if my headphones don't have good response? The answer, reference mixes. So reference mixes are they're a gold mine of information in terms of learning mixing. And even more than that, just compositionally, everything. Reference mixes are going to save you so much headache, because no matter what system, whether it's earpods, whether it's headphones, like good ones, mine aren't here, they're somewhere else, or like actual studio monitors that I've got over there. If you're referencing mixes, you're going to be able to hear the qualities of the songs that you like and how they're mixed, and you'll be able to replicate them, especially with practice and experience and time. So if you're using headphones, just download or buy or whatever, get waves of some of your favorite tracks and chuck them into your DAW and reference them as you're producing, and that will actually get you the skills you need to make good mixes, rather than just having gear that you don't know how to use. Then later down the track, you might be able to buy monitors and stuff, and actually they'll add something to your arsenal because you'll be able to actually appreciate the extra benefit that they give. And that's headphones. So the last thing that you should have, and this is the third thing, as a tool in your studio when you're starting out making music, is a DAW. A DAW, a digital audio workstation, a DAW, whatever you want to call it. Now, this is, I would argue, where you should invest most of your money out of all of the options. And I'll tell you why. Because headphones and computers, they're constantly crapping out, they're constantly dying, they're constantly needing updating. Whereas a DAW, even if there are future updates that you have to pay for, you can usually use your DAW on your system for quite a long time, especially before the software gets superseded. It's a long-term thing. It's going to last beyond one machine and one pair of headphones. It's going to be the center of your studio for the foreseeable future. So I'd really recommend investing into this and finding one that suits you. We at EDMProd here recommend Ableton. But FL Studio is also a great option, and they're probably like the two biggest in electronic music production. So if you want to compare those two, we've actually got a great article in the description below that you can check out, or up in the corner. A lot of people actually have a DAW, either a DAW that comes with the computer, like for example, if you're on a Mac, you'll probably have GarageBand. But if you're not, there's heaps of free DAWs, like Reaper I think has kind of like a free trial thing that you can pay to upgrade. You know, it's a fully functioning DAW. There's other options out there. The other thing with the DAW is it comes usually with great software options that are as good as the plugins you can download, and are a great opportunity to make amazing music that most people don't really realize. Like, especially if, you know, they think they need EQs and all these other software plugins, and it's like, well, you don't even know how to use the EQ in your own DAW, man. And, you know, if you have, it's mind-blowing. Why would you get a DAW and then go buy all these other plugins that are literally just slightly more featured versions of the ones you've got that you don't even know the features of? The other thing is there's free plugins. So if there is really something missing from your DAW that you would like to use that you have seen, and it's something that you just can't replicate in your DAW, there's heaps of free stuff. Like check VST for free, or KVR Audio, one of those websites, for some great tools there. The rest is up to your imagination though. So once you've got those three tools, it's really how you use them that will determine how you get the music you want to. Your studio will grow over time, and it should be your studio serving you rather than you serving your studio, because that way you'll be able to actually master the tools that you've got rather than being a slave to them. You know, Justice produced Cross, I think, in GarageBand, which is a basic DAW. I think Burial, who's a kind of a garage producer, literally made his album in like 2 weeks or something in SoundForge, which is like similar to Audacity. So it goes to show you don't need the best to make the best music. Now, I hope this has given you an idea as to the tools and you need and what you can actually do with them, even though it's only very basic. But the next thing you'll be wanting to look at once you've got these three things is samples. And we will make another video on that in the future, where you can get them. There is so much free stuff though, so go explore for now, but hit that subscribe button if you do want to see our samples video, which will be coming out sometime soon. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did find it inspiring and enlightening, give it a like and make sure to share it with someone who maybe does need to hear that they don't need to download Isotope Suite and Serum and the Soundtoys bundle and all the FabFilter plugins and everything at once. Tell them to pace themselves, tell them just to start out with the basics. Those things will come later. They're all great tools, but it's how you use them that's important. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. What do you think? Do you think it's a good idea to start out with a bunch of gear? Let us know. It'd be really interesting to hear opinions from both sides of the spectrum. Stick around for another video from Sam, Connor, or I in the future. Hope you guys have a good week. See you in the next one. Peace, guys.